Hey, Cub fans! Thanks for joining us here on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs with delight and unwavering optimism. We're going to talk about Patrick Wisdom today, and I'm going to start by just being honest and telling you that when I got news of the Cubs signing Patrick for 2024 at $2.75 million, I was surprised. It really surprised me. I for whatever reason, nothing specific, I just felt like they'd seen enough. I thought the Patrick Wisdom experiment was over. So I was really surprised when the Cubs signed him. And then my next thought was, or emotion really was, I was a little disappointed because I kind of had enough too. I'd seen it. I don't like strikeouts. I'm too old to like strikeouts. I don't like strikeouts, and I don't like turnovers in basketball. Those two things wear me out. Because there was a time when they just weren't done. They weren't acceptable the way they are now. So I just really seen enough of not putting the ball in play. But game's different time. So I just thought it's interesting with Patrick Wisdom being on the roster. They signed him. They obviously have a plan. I'm not sure what that plan is, so I've been trying to figure out maybe what it is. So I've been running some numbers. And what's interesting about Patrick Wisdom is what we've seen is not new. And what do you see with Patrick Wisdom? You see a lot of power. You see home runs. You see strikeouts. And he's been doing that for the longest period of time. So I just decided I'm going to do a piece. I'm going to study it. I'm going to get to know it. See if I can get my head around it. And I think that once we go through it and we understand it at a deeper level, we might be able to come with kind of what the Cubs are thinking here with P. Wizzy. So let's just kick back, talk a little bit about Patrick Wisdom. Great guy. His contract sort of made me happy that a guy like Patrick, with how hard it was for him to get there, finally got paid. So I was happy for that. He's a good guy, family guy, and I was just glad that he finally got paid. So Patrick Wisdom's 32 years old. He was born Patrick Ian Cashel Wisdom on August 27th, 91. So he's 32 years old. 6'2", 220, righty. Played high school at Murrieta Valley High School in California. And his senior year, he hit 345 in 2009. So, even then, Patrick wasn't hitting for high average. 345 is not a great average for a high school player who ends up playing in the show. I mean, if you're an average guy and you hit 345, I guess that's good. But not for a guy who ends up where Patrick Wisdom has ended up to hit 345 in high school. But he ends up going to college, goes to St. Mary's College in California, plays for the Gaels. He had power. He's powerful enough that people had to see it. So in 3 seasons with the Gaels, he hits 303. Again, not a great average for somebody who's going to end up playing in the big leagues. But during his 3 seasons with the Gaels, he hit, at the time, what was the third most in school history. He hit 29 home runs. Got pop. He was first team West Coast Conference as a senior in 2011. So, power, low average, and slug is sort of what Patrick Wisdom has been. So much so that the Cardinals drafted him 52nd overall in the 2012 draft. So boom, here he is. His long journey begins. In 2012, Patrick played with the Batavia Muck Dogs. In that campaign, he hit 282 with 6 home runs, had 32 RBIs in 65 games. Okay, 282, 65 games, 6 homers, but that's pretty good. I'm sure they were happy with that. So next year, 2013, he's promoted. He plays for the Peoria Chiefs and the Palm Beach Cardinals. Plays a total of 129 games in 2013. Patrick slashed .235, on-base percentage of .313 with a .401 slug. He hit 15 homers, had 73 RBIs, but he struck out 137 times in 129 games. So there it is. Good pop, run production, low average, low on base, high strikeouts, but he hits bombs. Next year in 2014, got promoted to the Springfield Cardinals. With the Cardinals Springfield club in 2014, he slashes 215, 277, and 367. 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. Had the second most strikeouts in the league in 2014 at 149 Ks in 128 games. This is in 2014. 2013 we're talking about. Dude's been striking out forever. It's amazing, really. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen this. He played third base mostly. Again, not a great fielder. 26 errors. Had a .928 fielding percentage. Not good. But he hits home runs. He bombs. You want to talk like 5-tool players? How good do you have to be at the one tool if you play in the big leagues and you've got the one tool? And I got a guy that we're going to talk about, we're going to compare it to. But, he's a one-tool guy, but that one tool is pretty good. Pretty strong enough that it got him into the show and he signed a contract for $2.75 million. 2015, what happened next? Well, he stays with Springfield. So it's with Springfield in 14 and 15. And he improves a little bit. He hits 237, 294, and 406. So all the numbers clicked up 10%. Had 14 home runs, 61 RBI. And in 114 games, he only struck out 107 times. So that's an improvement. 107 strikeouts was an improvement, mathematically speaking. 2016, plays for the Memphis Redbirds. So he's creeping his way along, striking out but hitting bombs. Very impressive, too. You can imagine that when he does that, back in this time, from 13, 14, 15, 16, he probably hits it so hard that the scouts just can't ignore it. Right? It's like, okay, he struck out 3 times, but he hit one, in a 2A game that probably had an exit velocity of 113, 115. So, dude hits the ball hard, so it's got to be impressive. But we're standing back looking at the numbers and trying to figure out if the strikeouts are worth it. But not putting the ball in play, being, striking out at that rate. Another reason I don't like the strikeouts, it's more than just the now. It's demoralizing. It kind of deflates everybody. Deflates the fans, deflates the teammates, deflates yourself. Boy, a strikeout. I don't know. Kids today, I guess, strikeout and don't think much of it. Again, like turnovers in basketball. If you watch a high school basketball game, turnovers right and left. Nobody really seems to get all flustered. Back in the day, you'd have a turnover and you're out. You get 2 and you're probably done for the night. It's a different game. It's a different world. The tolerance of strikeout just intrigues me. So let's go to 2017. Plays with Memphis again. 243, 31 home runs, 89 RBIs. 127 games. How many strikeouts do you think he had? 127 games. Hit 243, had 31 bombs and 89 RBIs. In 127 games, P. Wizzy struck out 149 times. It's every year. It's constant. It's not a surprise. He's been doing it forever. In the 28th season, he started with Memphis, but on August 7th, later in the year, he got called up. So he got called up August 11th, 2018, to make his debut the next day at Kansas City. That day, he got 2 hits and an RBI. He played the rest of the way, and he hit 260 with 4 home runs, had 10 RBIs in 32 games. So that's how the P. Wizzy started his major league career. That 29 games, and the 32 games in 2018. So the Cardinals trade Wizzy to the Rangers on December of 2018. So they let him go. In 2019, he was optioned to AAA Nashville Sounds, and he opened the season on April 7th. He was called up as a replacement for an injured player on July 6th. He was DFA'd. So 2019 was really kind of a rough year. Started by getting optioned down to AAA. Opened the season on April 7th. Got called up for an injured player on the 6th. They DFA'd him. He cleared waivers, and he was assigned back to Nashville. So this is, he's not a kid anymore, and he's getting DFA'd and reassigned, and it's got to be hard, and he's striking out. I mean, I like to put myself in his mindset of how long it's been, how hard it is, all the setbacks, and he just keeps persevering. So he played in Nashville the rest of 2019. Rest of 2019, he hit 240, with 330 on base percentage, and a 513 slug. Had 31 home runs, 74 RBIs. Struck out 125 times in Nashville. That same season with the Rangers, he had only 26 at-bats. He hit 154 with a 185 on base and only a 192 slug. So there was a big difference between AAA and the show for Wizzy. At this time, he seems pretty capable of handling AAA stuff, but that jump to the bigs is just a little bit too much. So the Rangers trade Wizzy to Seattle on November 27th, 2019. On August 10th, 2020, he's again designated for assignment, and he's released outright on August 14th, 2020. August 14th, P. Wizzy got released from the Mariners. He's 29 years old, and we just talked about the past, let's do 12 or 9 years, 8 years of his professional service, and it's been rough. He's had some high points, popped into the show for a little bit, but here he is, 29 years old. I'm going to imagine this is a fork in the road for Patrick. 29 years old, he's starting to wonder, is it ever going to happen? Is it worth it? But he sticks it out. He signs a minor league contract with the Cubs. Now the Cubs are involved. Signs a minor league contract with the Cubs August 23rd of 2020. September 25th, they put him on the 40-man and active roster. And then he plays that day, pinch hits for Rizzo on September 27th. After that, he's DFA'd after the Cubs promote Braylon Marquez. And on October 7th, he elects free agency. So he signs with the Cubs in a minor league contract, gets promoted because of an injury, plays a game, and then he gets DFA'd. That's got to be hard. I mean, he's not a kid now. He's 29, 30 years old. And just getting hit left and right. Just constant demotions and getting close. You got to feel for a guy at this point. What's his family saying? Probably saying, Patrick, dude, time to quit. I imagine they are. I don't know. Maybe he didn't have that. In 2021, he signed a minor league contract with the Cubs with no spring training invite. So minor league contract, no invite. He's, 30 years old. Starts the season in Iowa. Got called up on May 25th. On May 31st, he hit a pair of solo shots against the Padres. He hit another bomb the next day. So he had, in a period of 8 games, he had 4 home runs with the Cubs during that first call-up. On June 7th, he was named the National League Player of the Week. He went 10 for 23 with 6 homers. So he flashes it, right? He's literally like one of the most polarizing players I've ever witnessed, where he's going to just destroy you, or he's going to strike out and do nothing. It's like it's either or. And I got some stats that almost back that up that I'm going to share with you in a bit. We're going to blast some stats here in a second, because I really worked this stat sheet on him. I'm trying to figure it out. What do we do? He finished the 21 season, 231 average with a 305 on base and a 518 slug. 28 home runs, 61 RBIs, 163 strikeouts. He struck out 44% against lefties. It was the highest in the league. 44% of his plate plate appearances against lefties were strikeouts, 44%. But, he hit 28 home runs, 61 RBIs, production. Again, where does the math work? Where does it work? And I'm not really sure I know even after doing this, but so let's just fast forward. We know where we are. So Patrick gets paid over the summer or the offseason here. $2.75 million, 1-year deal with the Cubs. And, we talk about outcomes. And the outcomes for Patrick Wisdom are 3. He's either going to strike out, he's going to walk, or he's going to hit a home run. And at what percent? It's a 54% chance he's going to do one of those 3. 54% of the time in 2023, Patrick Wisdom either struck out, hit a home run, or walked. 54%. In 2013, Patrick's WAR was .3. So it was positive WAR. He had 302 plate appearances, 268 at-bats. In those, he struck out 111 times, walked 30 times, hit for a .205 average, a .289 on-base percentage, but he slugged .500. His OPS is a .789. He had 55 hits, played 97 games, had 23 home runs. His strikeout rate is 37%. His base on ball rate is just under 10 at 9.9. So those numbers in 2023 get you a $2.75 million contract for the next year. 37% strikeout rate, 54% 3 outcome, slug. So I guess it's worth it. I don't know. So I'm trying to figure Patrick out. My first thought was, well, let's hit him against lefties. I mean, he's on the team. They signed him. They got a plan. Are they going to hit him against lefties? So I went ahead and I did the splits for you. I got time. I'll do the splits for you. So here's Patrick's numbers versus right-handers. And you would think that before I start, he hits lefties better, Well, no. He hit 196 against right-handers, and he hit 217 against lefties. Now I'm even more confused. I thought for sure that had to be the other way. So his splits are, he had 172 plate appearances against right-handers. He had 148 at-bats against right-handers. 64 Ks, 20 bases on balls. He had an on-base percentage of 298, but he slugged .507 against righties with an .805 OPS. Had 29 hits, 13 of his 23 home runs against righties. Had a 37% K rate against righties and a 12% base on ball rate against righties. So he actually walked against righties more than he did against lefties. His walk rate against lefties was only 7.6. Walk rate against righties is 12%. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I'm hoping you'll tell me. I don't even know. I'm lost. Against lefties, had more or less at bats, had 130 plate appearances, 120 ABs, had 47 strikeouts, only 10 bases on balls. As I said, he hit 217 against lefties, had a 277 on base percentage with a 492 slug, and an OPS of 769. It's not that different. His K rate against lefties is 36%. His K rate against righties is 37%. He walks more against righties. His slug is a little higher. His on-base percentage is a little lower against lefties, which makes sense. So a little less on base, a little less slug, a little less OPS. But not that much. Not to the point where you go, well, we'll just hit him we'll keep him, we'll start him against the lefty, maybe DH him, maybe give him a third base run, maybe a first base run. Against lefties, it doesn't pan out that way for me. Now, I want to talk about Patrick's fielding, but before we do that, I'm going to compare him to Schwarber. When Schwarber left, I think the concern was, well, he's a 3-outcome guy, and he certainly is. He's a 3-outcome guy. And I got numbers that you want to talk. I'll just give you the number. You ready? If I said to you, what percent of the time of plate appearances does Schwarber either walk, strike out, or hit a home run? And I ask you to guess. You go, what would you say Wizzy's was? Wizzy's was 54%. What do you think Schwarber's is for 2023? Just comparing last year's both players. 54%. Patrick Wisdom and Kyle Schwarber have the exact same percentage of 3 outcomes. 54%. I'm telling you. Let's do Schwarber's numbers. We'll just walk you through it. Schwarber led off, and he played. I think he played 160 games. He was playing constantly. So he had 720 plate appearances, 585 ABs. Kyle struck out 215 times, but he walked 126. Schwarber hit under 200, 197. But his on-base percentage, because of his higher walks, is 343. Of course, he slugged 474 with an OPS of 817. He had 47 home runs, a 30% K rate, and an 18% base on ball rate. Kyle's WAR was higher than P. Wizzy's. P. Wizzy was at 0.3. Schwarber was at 0.6 for the season of 2023. Schwarber hit right-handers his average was 201. He hit lefty at 188. Not a big spread. Okay, let's get specific. In 23, P. Wizzy had a 789 OPS. Schwarber had an 817. In 2023, P. Wizzy slugged 500. Schwarber slugged 474. P. Wizzy slugs higher. Where Schwarber has him is with the walk rate. Kyle Schwarber's on-base percentage at 343 compared to P. Wizzy's 289. There's your difference. Your difference is Kyle Schwarber's base on ball rate is 18%, and P. Wizzy's was just under 10 at 9.9. There's your difference. It's P. Wizzy is basically Kyle Schwarber with half the walks, half the base on ball percentage. Wow. Well, Schwarber, Schwarber's the leadoff guy for the Phillies. He's their guy. He's there. If P. Wizzy gets 720 plate appearances, how many home runs does he hit? Well, 47 is what I'm saying. But how many times does he strike out? I don't even know where the break even mark is on all this, guys. This is amazing. I went round and round with this and thought, well, where is it? So my question now is, what do we do with him? What's the approach? Well, the thing that P. Wizzy has over Schwarbs is fielding. Schwarbs can play left. He probably can survive some left field. P. Wizzy's a little more versatile. Let's talk about P. Wizzy's fielding, though. Not a great fielder. Probably better than Schwarbs. In 61 games at third base in 2023, P. Wizzy had 11 errors and had a 927 fielding percentage. That's not good. That's not a good fielding percentage. So he didn't play third base very well in 2023. His career fielding percentage is 960. You'd like to see it at 975, 980, I suppose. 14 games at first. He had 2 errors, 976. He played 9 games in the outfield. He played 5 in left and 4 in right. Just had an error, but that number with chances drops him down to an 889 fielding percentage. So fielding, I didn't like him at first. He's certainly not our best defensive option at third. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know. Leave some comments down. What we signed them. They must have a plan. They must have a vision. I thought they'd hit him against lefties, but the numbers don't bear that out to me. Unless you just want to go, let's Schwarbertize him and lead him off, DH him and lead him off and give him 700 plate appearances and let him hit 50 homers. I don't know. I'm lost in it. Throwing my hands up. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see at this point. P. Wizzy. an enigma wrapped in a riddle. But, boy, he hits the ball hard, doesn't he, guys? Boy, I'll tell you, the ball coming off his bat, it's special. So that's something to really watch. You want to talk about an interesting thing to spectate on is what does Patrick Wisdom do in 2024. It's going to be fun. Either way, it's fun. I love it. I just love it. It's something to do. It's something to talk about. Win or lose, it's always fun, watching the game, watching the guys play. It's so good. So, anyway, Patrick Wisdom, what is to become of him in 2024? We'll have to wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I know I did. I've been just, and I'm still not sure. Like, what did Randy ultimately say that they were going to do with Patrick Wisdom? He doesn't know. And no idea what their plans are for him. But they signed him. They paid him. Must have plans. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, I'll let you guys get out of here. Patrick Wisdom, 2024, we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, go Cubs go.